Oh, hello, and welcome to Dente, Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey, E stands for evil.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most pasta, and be critically silly doing it. Tonight we have Attract Mode. So, Attract Mode is by Slimebeast, and you can check it out at slimebeast.com. And I suppose we'll just dive into the rundown for this one.
Mm-hmm.
So, our narrator is sharing an account that may make the legends of Polybius true. When they were a kid in the 80s, they regularly visited South Hills Mall in Dutchess County, New York, where they spent time at the Dream Machine arcade. They had a friend, who was a bit of a jerk named Nicholas. When they first met at school, Nicholas purposefully stained Nair's new clothes, and Nair's parents made Nick's parents pay for it. And since then, there's been a weird, frenemy kind of relationship going. Mm-hmm. One time at the Dream Machine arcade, Nicholas was with Nair and managed to haggle half of Nair's stock of quarters.
Haggle? More like con?
Con, yes. Yeah. Before vanishing into the crowd and leaving poor Nair, among strangers and, other people. So, not really, Nair basically went to go play skee-ball, which is his favorite game in the arcade. And was doing all right when some other kids attempted to usurp his game and even some of his tickets.
Tried to end succeeding.
So basically, he was just getting bullied all around.
Yeah. And the pair of kids were actually younger than him.
Yeah.
Just getting bullied by littler kids.
By younger kids. Yeah.
That's embarrassing here.
Yeah. After that conflict, he tried to find Nicholas, but instead found skull and crossbows. It was actually, the game itself was actually beckoning to him to play. The cabinet was black and horror-themed with a Boy Scout-looking kid being tormented by skeletons on the side. The game itself, which seemed to have a free game ready for anyone who wanted to play, was a centipede clone. And, I mean the game, not the insect.
Mm-hmm.
Centipede.
Yeah.
It's elongated creature going down the thing, and there's a bunch of tombstones and stuff like that.
You don't have to explain Dr. Leviathan's not here.
Thank God.
He doesn't have to explain it to us, but he may.
No, I do remember in our Whimsywood episode that he wasn't too fond. I remember him.
He didn't know what centipede was.
Yeah, and that was hilarious.
Regardless, for those at home,
yeah.
There is a centipede-like creature coming down from the top of the screen. You're at the bottom shooting projectiles, and there's stuff in the way of your projectiles, and you're trying to defeat the centipede.
Yeah.
That's the long and short of centipede.
Yeah. And in Skull and Crossbows, the centipede is replaced with a elongated, skeleton monster with, an elongated head as well. But, it's basically has, segmented rib cages. It's, different basically rib cages stacked on each other.
Yeah. As
it slithers down up like a graveyard. Mm-hmm. And other skeletons come out of the graveyards eventually in levels, and it throws bone spears out of its mouth.
It vomits them, actually.
Yeah, vomits them, and there's really intense audio.
Mm-hmm.
So Nair began getting really into this game and reached the third level before dying, which brought a moment of distress until the game told him that he still had 2 lives left. He completely gapped that he still had lives left, and he thought you die in the game, you die for real, kind of thing. The game and its main antagonist, Ode, the skeletal monster we mentioned, slithers and attacks and has multiple segmented rib cages. Hang on. Yeah, and the whole time it's goading. It was kind of while he was playing, and even some of the screens that were popping up were goading Nair to really want to win and kill Ode. And sometimes it was even it seemed seemingly reacting to Nair, but Nair kind of chalked it up to just being just part of the game. This one, it's not directed at him; it's directed at the player.
He's saying it's not directed at him because he thought that. He didn't say it, so
he thought
the cabinet couldn't have heard him.
Like, because it responded with like, I hate you too.
Yeah, because he's like, I'm gonna kill you, Old. I'm gonna get you. Like that's what he's thinking.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
So Nicholas shows up about this point and kicks Nair off his own game again. And despite feeble attempts to get control back, Nair watches as Nicholas burns through the remaining lives and loses the game. Nicholas shrugs all of this off as a bad game because he's a bad player, and begins to try and move the cabinet. And as Nair looks on, Nick is trying to restart the game by and get a free game, because sometimes that happens if you like unplug it. So Nair kind of like drops all the despite all the BS that's happened before, Nair kind of like starts helping him because hey, he wants to get his free game. He wants to get a game too. When they manage to move the cabinet enough to like get the look in the back, they both see that the back of the cabinet is open to a great void, where Ode is there waiting, and the monster snatches up Nicholas, and the cabinet then just like reverts back to its like spot by the wall. Yeah, it snaps back to it. Yeah. When Nair finally regains Sam back,
yes,
he checks the game screen again, and he swears that Ode on the screen has one more rib cage than he did before, and that is the end of the story. So, moving on to everyone tolerates the Grammar Inquisitions at this point. So I'm going to start with this one. Needless to say, I was getting very angry, very sad. There's nothing quite like being alone in a crowd, you know? So I would have replaced the period between very angry and very sad, because it's just like, it's a very short like little sentence there. And I know it's there for like punctuation, but I feel like it would be better if it was just, if you added like, I was getting very angry and very sad. Like, don't make that very sad just a separate period or a separate sentence.
Yeah, like describe all the emotions at once.
Yeah, like, again, I know why, like I can kind of get a reason why they did that, but it was just like, it just, yeah, I would have done it differently. And my next one, the voice from the machine, seemingly frustrated, became more insistent, as if time was running out. So insistent is spelled wrong. It's supposed to be with an E at the end, not an A. So, insistent, like a tent, rather than tant. Next one. Instantly, an elongated, pointy-headed skull filled the screen. It's elongated. It's just missing an N in the middle of that word. Next one. I couldn't leave because I was surrounded by a half circle of other kids who were laughing and cheering every vomit-inducing scene. I might change this, like the beginning of this sentence, to read more like this. I couldn't leave because I had been surrounded. Just to help clarify that this scene was in the past. Like, just to clarify that better.
What is it actually?
As it is right now, it's I was surrounded. I mean, yes, that is, but like I had been surrounded was a little bit more clarification.
Yeah, because this is when he's talking about having watched someone else play a game in the past, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the next one I have is another elongated issue, it was spelled wrong again. At the top, the sprite of an elongated, pointy-headed skull followed. So it happens twice. My next one. Relief washed over me. It was a sequel to, or a clone of Centipede, and I'd played that 100 times on my cousin's old Atari. Centipede's actually spelled wrong, and I did actually Google to check to make sure the game Centipede had its title was spelled the way it was, and yeah, it's spelled like normal Centipede. It's CENTIPEDE, not. The I is replaced with an E in the actual story. Next one. So it seemed like targeting his head was a good idea. Targeting has one too many T's. The next one. Still, I was triumphant in spite of how close Ode had come to the bottom of the screen. Triumphant just needs an extra I.
I like Trumpet better.
Triumphant.
Yes.
Yeah, just an elephant in the room.
Oh, yeah.
Turns out he's actually Nair is actually an anamorph.
Yeah, of course, yes. I was going to mention that if you didn't.
Yeah. I don't know why it had slipped my mind that games rarely ended after one try, but I completely bought into the idea that if I died, so completely. This one's again really minor spelling issues in the story, but completely is missing an extra E after the T. And this isn't like I was actually like trying to figure out like is this like just maybe like American versus Canadian like spellings because like we say color differently, we spell color differently than they do.
And no,
Like these aren't like short form, like just like American short firms.
no. Short firms.
I don't think they're short firms.
Yeah, short forms. Okay, yeah. So moving on to the next one. There, at the threshold of this impossible void, was the elongated skull, the rib cage, the skeletal arms, and taloned hands. So threshold doesn't need that extra H in the middle because it's a kind of a compound word that like they just throw that in. But note, elongated was spelled correctly.
Oh, there you go.
So
1 out of 3.
third time's a charm. Behind him, an endless string of ribs and vertebrae lead in a spiral into absolute darkness. So vertebrae is spelled slightly wrong. It's the I that's in the story's version. It's VERTIBRAE. In actuality, it should be VERTEBRAIE. So, and I think this is my last. Yeah, this is my last actual grammar acquisition. It sized Nicholas in its hands. I think it's supposed to say it seized Nicholas in his hands.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe like put his hands around him, wet,
Yeah,
him down, yeah. Size him down.
Yeah. Well, in that case, it should be explained.
Yes.
And that is my grammar inquisitions. So, Mikey, what do you got?
I have a front end.
Ooh,
And that was it.
that's it. Okay,
It is also the beginning of a section.
I got you.
So, yeah. And then I have an it story.
Ooh, okay. And now, an It Story by Mikey. The E stands for evil. Take it away.
It was an urban legend that used to travel the World Wide Web back when it wasn't all that worldwide and consisted almost entirely of discussion boards. It was everything you'd imagine. It had been brand new, you know, so I'd make a good impression and all. It was a way of saying, hey, it's only fair to include him. It was a loop of the same sing-song phrase uttered by some deep mechanical voice that sounded like Darth Vader or Worf or some sort of sci-fi tough guy. It was a kid, like me, but dressed in some sort of youth scout outfit. It was black, like the cabinet, except for the source of the brilliant flashes. It was the same phrase the machine kept spouting, its heavy bass pulsing through me in waves. Its hollow eyes staring directly at my face. It was the briefest moment, and my mind barely registered it, but it was there. It was filled with blood and violence and torture. I had nightmares about it on and off for weeks after I'd seen it, and I was only watching someone else play. It was a sequel to or clone of Centipede, and I'd played that hundreds of times on my cousin's old Atari. It was amped up too loud, and had too high a pitch to be smoothly projected. It sounded like a cassette tape being eaten by the player. It descended so quickly that I could barely move out of the way in time. It was a bit harder to beat this level, as you'd assume with any Phase 2. It seemed odd that the game was so short, but it sized Nicholas in its hands.
My God. It's kind of just like a roller coaster of like, what the fuck's going on?
Pretty much.
Within context of the It story.
Like, with the game being so short, is it like one of those like, mini arcades?
Yeah. And then, like, it had a deep voice, like one of those, like Darth Vader or Worf or those sci-fi things. It was a boy. It was a boy.
Yeah. It's the story of the narrator telling us about the narrator's story that he wrote, being told in a deep voice, being acted out by a child about wanting to include other people.
Yeah.
But it's like a creepy story with that meaning behind it.
And again, that could be really, basically like the good son. Like,
You know?
like where like it's just like a creepy like child, like goody two shoes child that's like kind of like that's doing things like good things, but like in creepy bad ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But all right, so is that your grammar positions?
Yeah.
Okay. Gamer.
And as you
you're
got
ticking things off.
Well, I was quickly writing down my notes for his It story for like the first like 5 or 6 that he went over. But you guys didn't get any of the grammar ones I got.
Okay.
Enough. And I didn't get any of the ones you guys got.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so here we go. Kids checked it out. It's vector graphics and quiz sections, kind of an odd mix, and eventually anyone who played it for any length of time started suffering side effects. I feel like it would flow better if its vector graphics and quiz sections were kind of an odd mix.
Yeah.
Instead of just vector graphics and quiz sections, kind of an odd mix.
Yeah.
Like there was no punctuation before it even. It just flows right into it. Next one, when he's talking about the stained shirt from school. It had been brand new, you know, ellipses. So I'd make a good impression and all. I feel like it would be better if it was brand new. Because, like, it had been brand new. Like, that is past tense, but I don't know. It's
kind of like a reverse of what I thought earlier with when the kid was like surrounded by the crowd of kids.
Yeah.
Like, because I had been surrounded by the crowd of kids kind of differentiates that story from the current story that they're telling from the past.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, this is after it's been explained
Yeah.
that it ruined the shirt. So explaining that it had been brand new makes you go, oh, well, that makes sense why the parents would go up to the other parents.
Yeah. But even if you said it was brand new, you know. Because it was.
Yet you're not wrong, but you're not right.
Oh, I know. Both words work. It's just, for me personally, it would flow a little bit better just for me personally.
Yeah.
But moving on. He pulled off a couple of tickets, and they both disappeared into the crowd, dropping the rest on the floor for me to scoop up. Sorry, I read that with my correction accidentally. Dropping the rest on the floor for me scoop up.
Oh, okay, I missed that. I must have Taiwanese that.
Yeah, I did the first time, but I'm like, wait, there was something off there. But yeah, it should be for me to scoop up.
Yeah.
And then, this is when he's like hearing the cabinet and seeing it. I don't know how I even managed to hear it over the din. Please press start. Please press start. Hear what over the what?
You never heard of din?
Just the god of fire.
No. Din is a word for like sound, like for like a type of sound. I can pull it up. Yeah, I've heard it before, like as like the din of the crowd. Like it's basically like the murmur, like kind of like the that background noise that you hear from like crowds and stuff like that.
I've never heard that word used.
Really? Okay,
I believe you.
Yeah, no, I just want to pull it up just for the sake of our show.
Mm-hmm. Because I figured it's like I don't know how I even managed to hear the please press start over how loud the area was.
Yeah, din, a loud, unpleasant, and prolonged noise. So the fans made an awful din. Thank you, dictionary.com.
Thanks. All right, so knowing that makes sense. But not knowing that does not make sense.
So you learned a thing.
I did. Hooray. Then moving on. Relief washed over me. It was a sequel to or clone of Centipede. I felt that slightly clunky. At least, again, to me personally. I would have done Relief washed over me. It was a sequel or clone of Centipede. Instead of, it was a sequel to or clone of.
Yeah, I get you, yeah. A sequel or clone. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, sequel to, or... Yeah.
It's saying it was a sequel to Centipede or a clone of Centipede.
Like, personally, I didn't mind that, but I could see why. Like why, or how it could be fixed, or...
It works, it's just slightly clunky, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's fair.
Super clunky.
And then my last one is, I was getting into the groove of it now. Sorry, I was getting into the groove of it now. And all I heard was the sound of the machine.
Is that really... There's a period there?
No, there's a comma.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's commaed out, the word now.
Yeah, it's almost like now should be... Like, I was getting into the groove of it now, comma.
Yeah, I was getting into the groove of it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, not, I was getting into the groove of it now, and...
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's all I got for my grammar in yellow.
Okay. Well, on to actual thoughts then. So, I'm going to start off right at the beginning with regarding the whole, Polybius bit at the beginning.
Yes.
I feel like this... I'm not going to, repeat it because it's, basically, a paragraph or so.
Of course.
But, the character is saying, that it's... this story, this account is going to make us believe that Polybius legends might be real or something like that. So, I feel like it should be slightly changed to bring up the Polybius legend, for sure, if you want to kind of give that kind of credit to the story, but then bring it up that there's another or similar game cabinet out there like Polybius.
Yeah, I thought this
nothing like Polybius.
I thought this was going to be a Polybius creepypasta.
That's what I thought. I was like, we should have used this for a Polybius episode.
Yeah.
The way I read the beginning, it sounded like this was Polybius,
yes,
and not some other game.
Here's truth as to why Polybius is real.
Yeah,
because this happened to me.
Yeah, exactly. And then it goes to Skull and Crossbows, and I was like,
I was very confused.
This is not Polybius.
Yeah, I thought it's like I played this game, and then behind me, I heard Polybius.
Yeah,
and it was calling to me. Yeah.
And again, it's very similar to Polybius.
It is,
but it is not Polybius.
and I get what was trying to be told. Yeah. Essentially, because this arcade cabinet ate my friend, I could see how Polybius could be real.
Yeah, exactly. But I just feel like that needs to be more clarified at the beginning, because at the beginning it kind of shoehorns the story into you think that this is going to be about Polybius, not a game like Polybius.
Especially since that line where it's he's talking about the different symptoms that Polybius gives, and one of them is the inability to be sad. It's specifically calling that out.
Yeah.
So I figured that was going to be taken into account for the story somewhere. Yeah. Because he's it seems like he's saying Polybius is potentially real, especially this one thing, because of the following story.
Yeah.
So I thought the following story was going to have an effect on someone with their inability to be sad.
Yeah.
No. The thing is, the protagonist has already been affected by Polybius because he's not sad through the entire thing.
Except he was very angry and very sad.
But that's after watching the other cabinet. So he wasn't sad when people stole things from him. He wasn't sad when Nicholas took half his coins.
He wasn't sad when Nicholas died, but then again, who would?
He's kind of dead.
I do actually have something a little bit later in my actual thoughts about the effects of this story, about the effects of Skull and Crossbones.
Wow.
Skull and Crossbows. Anyway.
You talk for a living, kind of.
Doesn't mean I don't fuck up.
Yeah.
Alright, moving on. So this is actually something that I found very kind of pleasant about the story. Actually, a lot of my shit's pretty pleasant about the story. When I used to live in New York in the 1980s, my mom and I would make routine trips to the South Hills Mall in Dutchess County. So I actually looked it up, and it's a real place in southern Poughkeepsie, which is Dutchess County. Though when I street viewed it, that's what the mall looks like, all that stuff. But when I looked up Dream Machine, there are 3 across all of New England, across several states in the New England area, but none of them are currently at that mall. Now,
In the
perhaps
80s.
In the 80s, yes.
Yeah.
Still, it was a neat little factoid if you do a little extra digging after you read the story.
Mm-hmm.
So I really kind of like appreciated the kind of groundedness of the story in reality. Mm-hmm. It's not just some like fictional town or some fictional mall. It's an actual mall that probably maybe the narrator or the author had actually been to, or maybe it's just something they chose just to make grounded in reality.
Yeah.
So my next one, we met when I first came to that school. ...
In this city.
Hang on.
Sorry.
He greeted me on the playground with a hearty pat on the back and a "How you doing?" What do you mean that school ... And then it just goes to I feel like there's more to the story of the school. Like maybe it's an Easter egg or another like to another Slimebeast story, or like maybe a hint to another Slimebeast story.
I was just making a Police Academy reference.
Yeah, that's also true.
This city, that school.
And alternatively, the character could just be starting to get bad memories as they're recounting this. So they just do the ... as like moving on. Like kind of they just look into the middle distance because of the memories of like the loss of Nicholas and stuff like that. Because this was like when they first met, and then like despite being a douchebag, he did die. Like they were kind of still friends.
I don't know about that.
I'll get to that. I got that in my notes too. But yeah, just saying like that. Maybe that's another like a reason why there's a ... there after the school was just like because they were remembering the bad memories of that whole event. Then my next one here. I want to collect the string of tickets, but the big brother beat me to it. Hey, I rolled some of these, but it was my quarter. He pulled off a couple of tickets, and they both disappeared into the crowd, dropping the rest on the floor for me to scoop up. I'm correcting that one.
Of course.
Man, way to pull up my heartstrings with the story with this character, the story's like narrator, because like. I really felt bad for this character being taken advantage of. Like, so like in regards to the writing there, like I really like good job making us feel for the protagonist here.
Yeah, Nair's kind of a dick magnet.
Yeah,
that sounds weird, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I know what you mean, but at the same time, yeah, maybe poor choice of words there, Gamer.
He's an asshole magnet.
Yeah.
I don't know if that works either.
Okay, so going on to this is actually the part about the the effects of skull and crossbows. So
I was enough. It's fine.
Yeah. What?
You said crossbows, and then he giggled.
I'm sorry. I have a list.
You said crossbows. He giggled. I said it's close enough. It's fine.
Yeah.
I was going to let it go, and then you had to bring it up, and here we are.
I was getting into the groove of it. Now and right, that really is kind of like awkward. Now, and all I heard was the sound of the machine, the music that filled the place, all the clicks and hoots of the other games. That was all gone, and all I remembered hearing was the strange off-kilter music of Skull and Crossbows. So I really like this sense of immersion and obsession of the game, or the game brings to the narrator here. It does hearken to the effects of Polybius and even gaming in general when you get drawn into it so much that you like kind of zone out of the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And by the end of this, with the supernatural source that seems to be behind the cabinet, literally, it's even more exciting to me to have it there because it's like the machine is like there's not just a mundane reason for that, like the normal like gaming immersion, but also like the game's almost like a Venus flytrap or an ambush predator, like luring in its prey and waiting till it's too late for them for it to strike. Mm-hmm. Also, the title makes a lot of sense at this point when you read that because attract mode.
Yeah.
So, I like kudos to that. Like that was a really neat little setup for that.
Mm-hmm.
My next one. Die, 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 he chanted excitedly. This is cool. I'm playing it out. You can get the next one. I don't have any quarters left, I whined, now basically crumpled in a heap and grasping at his knees, as if I could pull it from under him. Oh, darn. He kept playing, eyes on the screen. Man, I am not gonna lie. Was not sad when Nicholas died. Or when Nicholas got his comeuppance at the end. Like, what a little fucking jerk.
He's a little bit of a prick.
Yeah. Like, from the story point of view, yeah, no, he totally deserved getting... I almost wish those two younger kids had gotten what they deserved too.
Not as much, but yes.
But mostly Nicholas. Yeah.
Because he's been doing this for Nair's entire...
friendship.
Not his entire life, but their entire friendship.
Yeah.
Quote unquote.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, just kind of like, ugh, man, I can't wait for you to die. Like, it's like a slasher movie. Like, it's like, I can't wait for he's that guy.
Yeah. Like, he's not even like a jerk with a heart of gold. He's just a jerk.
Yeah, he really is. Like, there's no real redeemable qualities. Like, it's kind of like the reverse. It's like, he's the friend who's an asshole. And not with a heart of gold. Like, it's like the jerk with a heart of gold, like, there's those kind of characters. And then this is like the polar opposite, where they are friends, in quotes, but they're really just assholes.
Yeah. It's like he's just kind of like, yeah, I was going to say your rival, but not necessarily.
No, it's not so much that. It's like, again, like it's the people that are your friends in name only, but otherwise don't care about you or don't really give a shit.
Yeah.
And then my next quote here, and it's actually my second last one before we get into final thoughts. When I stopped staring at the back of the machine because my eyes burned, and not due to any regaining of sense, I turned my gaze to the screen where Ode rested at the top of the empty graveyard. I swear he had an extra set of ribs. And I was like, oh my god! Like, at this point, as I was reading the story, I was like, this is a video game pasta that has something that happens to the player in the real world. Like, the veil has been breached, a kid has been devoured. Yes. I know that's weird to say, but like, so many video game pre-bosses do not breach that veil of reality.
It's true.
And it was really like, that was a really exciting moment for the story for me. Like, I was like, yes. Yeah. And then concerning the image at the end of the post, because this is on Slimebeast.com's like forum, where he posts a bunch of his creepypastas. There's an image that he did of a screenshot of the interface. So I'm going to basically we'll dissect the image a little bit here. Given the 80s period of when this showed up, the interface and design fits really well to me. Like, it looks like Centipede. It looks like Atari style Centipede, like 80s style. My one little gripe...
It's more like NES, it's not Atari.
Yeah, NES, yeah.
Yeah.
Atari would be even more, like, less...
The Centipede would be a block.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like Nintendo. My one little gripe, though, is it's kind of weird that the kid didn't notice that he had lives at the top, like, in the story.
Because it clearly says...
It clearly says lives, too, on the corner. Yeah, and I was like, like...
He doesn't normally play video games, he plays skee-ball.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But yeah, regardless of that, like, I thought it was still like really well done, accompanying image, and it's at the end of the story, not at the beginning, which I don't know if would have ruined it or not. Like, if it had been at the top or not. Like, I don't think it would have really ruined it. I think it works really well where it is, because we get a visual of the game that the story's been building.
I'd be okay with it showing up as he starts playing.
Yeah, maybe. Because, like, nothing really happens in it.
No, that doesn't spoil anything.
Yeah, it's not like it's like a GIF where, like, he's playing and then, like, suddenly there's, like, a realistic skull, like, like, comes out at you.
Yeah. But even so, that's not spoiling, because the whole spoilerable thing is the fact that the cabinet eats you. Yeah. And that can't get spoiled in that, so...
Yeah, exactly. Or, like... I would actually really like to see, as I was reading the cabinet's description, I was like, I really want to Photoshop that. Yeah. Like, I really want to see a Photoshop of that. That looks that sounded really cool. But that is the end of my actual thoughts. Mikey, what do you got?
So I started reading this story, and then I had a sense of deja vu.
Oh.
Because I felt for certain I'd read the story before.
Had we?
I had.
Oh.
Because I
actually... read stories on your own?
Well...
Some of us do that, gamer.
Why? Well, there's so many video games to play.
And I was wondering why I'd read it before, because I was thinking, like, have we done this before? And the reasoning is because I read it when we did Whimsywood.
Right. I remember you saying that you did check that out. So this was before your time, gamer.
It was.
That was a long time ago.
It was.
How old are you?
It was like a year ago. Or no, it
I'm
was like,
less than a year old. Am I a test tube baby?
No, I mean,
What?
It was like.
Do I have implanted memory?
I mean, it was like year 1, I think, or year 2 when we did. No, yeah, year 2 because you. Yeah, it was when you were there too.
Over 3 years ago.
Fuck.
Episode 117.
Right. Yeah.
So, and the reason...
You did a Halo creepypasta, right? 117.
No.
You
should have. It's a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
We did Whimsywood.
Yeah.
And in Whimsywood, the character...
Oh, it brings it up. Yeah.
No, he plays on a Skull and Crossbows machine.
Right. Yeah, okay, so... For Gamer, and I guess anybody who didn't...
Wait, it's a real game?
No. In Whimsywood, which is also by Slimebeast, he added... Whimsywood's like a Santa's Village like theme park kind of thing. It's like a little like carnival theme park in the middle of like the boonies or in the middle of the sticks.
Yeah.
The character goes to, and so like there's like a corridor before you get into the actual like property that has a bunch of arcade cabinets, and one of them was Skull and Crossbows. So the character actually plays Skull and Crossbows in that, and it's a lean-in into... So that
story was written after this one? Possibly?
I think so, yeah. I think Attract Mode was an earlier... One of his earlier ones.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, in that podcast, because I actually listened to my speech about that.
My condolences.
I complained about the continuity, because... in Whimsywood, the cabinet doesn't eat the character.
It wasn't hungry.
It wasn't hungry.
But after rereading this, I figured that the cabinet's actually the good guy, and only eats jerks.
That's you. For the audience at home, look you gave him. We don't have a camera. I like lean my head forward and just like, really?
Really? Bullshit your way out of this one, sir.
So the cabinet's actually a member of the Supernatural Task Force.
Of course he is. Do explain, sir.
Well, you see, the main reason...
I'm sorry, Slimebeast. I hope, like, if you're listening, I'm sorry. Okay. Continue.
The main reason why it's in this particular arcade is because there's a lot of jerk kids that are around, and it specifically feeds on them.
Okay.
So it's the perfect feeding ground for it.
So it likes eating people, but only like in jerky format?
Basically, it's a karma machine. It's a karma eater. It goes after bad karma, which is the assholes who like steal people's stuff or like try to like pry the cabinet away from the wall to try to unplug it to restart it and get a fresh game because they're cheaters.
Yeah,
and cheaters aren't winners. I don't know. I was looking at you. So
why?
I was just like,
I thought you were going to continue with that.
No,
like, accuse me of some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay. So the reason why. So okay. Continue.
Yeah, just be glad that he doesn't like eating just normal humans.
Yeah.
Like there's human and then there's human jerky. He likes human jerky better.
Yeah. Fuck you.
You're welcome. Just how it is.
Yep.
Yeah. So, having figured that out, I guess there isn't really a continuity issue that I brought up.
Because the other character wasn't jerky?
Yeah, he wasn't really that. Yeah, he just wanted to... I can't... It's been a long time since we did that story, and I had not read it, or reread it, so... I don't think he was that much of a jerk. I can't recall, though. Yeah.
No. He was just your typical kid that wanted to go to Santa's Village.
Yeah. I feel like there's... Okay, so for a little bit of context, there's a very similar theme park. Obviously not, like, hosted by, like, cannibal demon monsters, but they're, like, a ways up north from us, there is a similarly rural, carnival-esque theme park called Santa's Village. That's what we're referencing.
Yes.
It is it was kind of rad when I was a kid, or at least that's what I remember. Because I have a nostalgia for it. But yeah. That's what we're contexting when we keep saying Santa's Village. We don't actually mean the Arctic, or like the one that's Santa's workshop. It is actually a rural theme park. So
he's not not Santa, but the demon in the cabinet is not a cannibalistic demon.
Oh no, I was referencing Whimsywood.
Oh
yeah, because Whimsywood, it's like some weird like it's a bunch of like creepy like nightmarish like cannibal. Demon things that like eat people through the rides.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So now that's out of the way.
Okay.
I have
continuity fixed.
Amazing what 3 years will do to you.
Yeah. Fuck. When we lose one of our most dissenting views.
Yes. So I actually have 2 quotes here.
Okay.
And the first one is, it was a loop of the same sing-song phrase uttered by some deep mechanical voice that sounded like Darth Vader or Worf or some sort of sci-fi tough guy. Now the second quote.
Sci-fi tough guy is also the title of my mixtape.
I was going to say it was also the name of my high school ska band.
Oh, okay.
Alright, so the second quote is, the only time I'd heard phase was on Star Trek. You know, phaser, whatever that meant.
And what is your problem with that?
What's the problem with that?
My problem is, the narrator clearly watches Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
And
or at least knows of it. Yeah. Doesn't necessarily watch it.
And if they watch it, they know that a phaser is a gun.
Not necessarily. I mean, yeah.
Well, yeah, they know that the phaser is the thing they pull out.
But, like, they don't know what phaser means. Like, I didn't know what phaser meant until I was older.
Do you know what the word phaser means now?
Kind of. It uses, like, it's like a laser that phases through things, right?
I don't know.
Like
that's my point. I still don't know.
Frequencies that phase through. Isn't that what that? Like, yeah. I don't know. Like, I can see why the kid, because it's a kid in the story, like recalling like what phaser was, like because like they'd only recognize the word phase in Star Trek, but they didn't really know. Like they thought it was like the shooty laser thing. But, like...
Yeah, and that's a very basic description of what phaser is.
Yeah, so it's a kid. He's like, whatever that means. Like, I'm just an 8-year-old kid. Like, you're really nitpicking this line or this word here.
Especially since it's not really even integral to the story.
Yeah, it's just an off comment the character does that works fine because he's a little kid at the time of the encounter.
But even a kid would know that phaser, at its simplest explanation, is a gun.
Yes, and this is the first time he's heard the word phase without it being a phaser.
Yeah, so he's like, why is it a gun? Why is this a gun?
This is gun 1.
Yeah.
And now I'm on gun 2.
Because there's no It's just like, why is there gun? Why is this a gun 2?
Go 1 and go 2.
Yeah, exactly. Like... I agree to disagree, but I don't get your like why you're so like this is the hill you're gonna die on.
That's
or
one way to put it.
Or like the phase, like the kids should know what a phaser is. There you go. Why do you say or whatever it is? I forget it. I'm sorry, man. My human fleshy brain does not comprehend the things that your demon cosmic brain do.
Well, I feel like, I don't know, he's trying to explain that he doesn't know what phase is, but by saying he doesn't know what a phaser is when he's clearly watched Star Trek.
Okay.
It just...
Fair enough. I what do you want me to say?
He wants you to say, "Oh, yes, you're right, Mikey. How did I not think of that? You're so great and smart."
I gotta be the best me I can be, and I can't honestly agree, like, with, like, you nitpicking the hell out of this word.
It's fine. Let's just move
Let's
on.
move on.
Alright. Well, onward to the...
Okay. Alright.
All right. So my first one. There was no short supply of gory monster-themed games in the arcade, and I'd never chosen to play any of them. I'd seen one called Chiller that made you shoot people and objects just to torture them. And that's an actual game, apparently.
Yeah, I googled that as well, and it was... Yeah, I was actually surprised. Like, ooh, it's like really graphic and like 8-bit. Or not 8-bit, 36-bit maybe?
32.
32-bit, yeah. 36-bit.
Yeah, that's not a
That's not a
bit.
thing.
No, it's not.
That's another creepypasta in itself. The 36-bit.
How does it have so many bits? It shouldn't have that many bits.
The color out of space, like, oh,
Yeah.
mind, like, anyways.
Regardless, that game is accurately described in this. You're a dude trying to escape a dungeon while you go around murdering and torturing helpless people with your light gun.
Yeah.
Like if there's a dude in a guillotine, you shoot the guillotine, it comes down and chops his head off. Or if there's a head press with a guy locked into it, you keep shooting the one side of the head press and it makes his head explode all over the place.
Oof.
It was extremely gory.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the ESRB was on that back then.
Yeah.
I don't know if this was...
E for everyone.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Well, the ESRB came...
After Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well,
like,
and it was more for home entertainment purposes, so that when
Yeah.
you're buying a game, you know who it's for.
Wouldn't that also be taken into account for arcades, too?
No.
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 There's no ratings on arcades?
There might be now.
There
but
might be, but like you wouldn't see it on an arcade cabinet.
It's probably why a lot of like satanic panic asshole like people who like were like, oh, video games and RPGs, like tabletop RPGs, are the devil's work.
Look at this game called Chiller.
Yeah,
It's terrible.
Like, exactly. Like they basically like that's why like probably why arcades got so demonized, just because heaven forbid we can't censor an arcade. Yeah.
But yeah. Moving on. One of the crawlers touched me. Touched the sprite, I mean. And I was dead. He was dead. So this is the second and third time that the character has done this. Mm-hmm. Like correcting himself and clarifying, which kind of made me seem like this, like he's gonna set up some twist ending where Nair's been dead the entire time and he's recounting why he died to give some significance to this weird character quirk.
Huh.
But I guess it just kind of turned out to be a quirk of his, just the
like,
way the character talks.
Yeah, like that's an interesting take on it. And again, I would love to have like more ghosts stories.
Yes, there's not
like where
enough
like the character
ghost
died
stories.
and then it's revealed. But like honestly, when I read that, I just took that as like part of like the whole like gaming immersion. Like, like he's having a hard time discerning reality. Like he's like thinking that he's getting hit. Oh no, it's his character in the game getting hit.
So he never like expressed that kind of feeling though, where it's like character gets hit and he's like, "Ow! Why did that hurt?"
No, not that. I don't mean like that. I mean like. But like the game, it's just like adding on to the immersion that he's getting into the game. Like the din of the crowds and stuff behind him are all basically vanishing as the music of the game that he's playing is all he's hearing.
Yeah,
and like all he's focusing on is the game. So like he's like getting like
and it's so intense because like he has no quarters left.
Yeah, and when he panics when his first death character happens, he's like thinks that's it, like that's the end of it. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh no, wait, I have 2 lives. So like I don't die in the game. If I don't die in the game, I don't die for real. Like kind of thing. That's kind of how I took it. Was like again, it's adding on to that whole thing that like people are always kind of tamper on with horror games or horror stories and video games. Is the like getting so obsessed with the game that you start having a hard time like discerning reality around you. Like you again, like I've had a couple of instances where that happened, not like horror way, but like I played GTA 5 and then I go drive a car. It's like, right, gotta remember this is the real world.
You say it's not a horror theme, but that would be a little horrible
to the other drivers.
Yeah, well, I mean to you as well.
Yeah, I mean, if I something that's like, oh, I could just go.
Yeah, there's a median here. I don't give a shit. I'll go over that.
Exactly. It's like, oh, this car behind me, like in front of me, is like taking me long. Just go into the opposing lane.
Yeah, that guy's a way nicer car. You get out of your car.
Yeah, I wouldn't like do that in reality, but like again, like that kind of like little inkling in the back of your head that you kind of get after playing a video game, where like you're a regular, not saying a regular person, but like normally. You'd be able to discern, like, nope, there's a distinct difference between reality and video game reality. Whereas the horror in some stories with video games is that you can't discern that reality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you there.
Yeah.
And I agree with you on GTA, because, like, sometimes after I play GTA, then we go recording or something, like, I see several vehicles that look identical to ones in GTA.
And you're like, oh man, I could just take that guy.
It's like, oh, that one's worth, like, $9,000 if I turn that into the chop shop to sell it.
Yeah.
But no. Yeah, we'll move on from there. Oh, yeah. But in hindsight, in regards to him correcting himself,
yeah.
I suppose it's just because, like, Nair's writing this after all this happened, so I suppose that's just in hindsight.
Yeah.
Because he knew, because Nair knows that the cabinet kills people, so he wants to clarify that he is not being killed.
Yeah, that's
himself, just his character is.
Yeah, that could be another interesting way to take that.
Mm-hmm. On my next one, though, the ending, which, after the whole ending went through, I liked it and everything, but I kind of wish that the art on the side of the cabinet had changed a little bit too, to the point where, like, Nair thought that the Boy Scout looked a lot like Nick all of a sudden.
Ooh, that would be... Yeah, I can see that. I don't know if that would take away from the impact of the screen revelation, though, with the extra rib cage. Like, I like it. Like, I like that change, but I don't know if you should have that happen after the screen revelation, because at least that point, there's a sense of, like, with the screen, there's a sense of finality. Like, there's no saving Nicholas. He's a rib cage now.
No, he's fine.
But, like, it would be like I could see the story. There's three paths the story could take with this. Either one, you just have the change of the image and he doesn't look at the screen and the image changed, so like Nicholas is like trapped, like he's like freaked out like the kid is on the side of the cabinet, and that's where we leave off. Or we do this the central one, which is the main one, which is where he just sees the screen and the extra rib cage. Or the last one, he sees the rib cage, and then as he's leaving, like walking,
like runs to tell his parents,
and
or
then
something.
he looks back and he sees that like the art has changed then of Nicholas, and it's Nicholas.
Yeah,
I think that is how you should do that. Like, if you're going to take those one of those routes.
Yeah, but any other combination might mess with it too much, because you don't want to, like you said, you don't want to take away from the impact of the end, because I do like the end.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit of a juggling act when it comes to writing and getting like that impactful ending, to like figure out where to place something, like place the zinger. Essentially, is what it is.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like, because I don't know if I think that if you put it like, if he like as he's looking away, like going past the cabinet to look at the screen, and he sees that image change, I feel like that would take away from the zinger of the screen.
Yes, it would.
Yeah.
You would have to see the image after the fact.
Alternatively, though, to counter that, like he sees the image on the screen, or he sees the image on the side of the cabinet. I was like, oh shit, that looks like Nick. Well, maybe he's still alive, and then he checks the screen and there's an extra ribcage. No. So
that's true.
So like maybe, I don't know. It's that balancing act, or like that like writer's call, essentially. Like, what would make the best effective ending or zinger for your story?
Or what it could be like, it doesn't even necessarily have to be the same day.
Yeah.
Could be like he sees the ribcage, bails, but like next week when he shows up, he like looks at the cabinet and he's like,
maybe he sees those bully kids like going, oh hey, they're playing it maybe, and they see and he sees Nicholas on the cabinet.
Yeah, and he's like, I remember the kid. I don't remember him looking like Nick though.
Yeah. And then that's where we just that's where it would end. Yeah, like that could be really good too. But yeah,
there's a lot of ways to take it. But regardless, I do like it the way it is, because the extra rib cage is essentially the monster's kill count.
Yeah,
as it's going through, like potentially killed dozens of people. I don't know how long
we don't have a definite like how many rib cages are there, but
there's a screenshot. I don't know how many have been actually taken out.
Yeah, assuming that is the rib cage count of the screen at that point. Yeah, that's basically its like tally, like the little like scratches on his on the side of his gun or something like that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
that's the end of my actual thoughts.
Okay. Well then, on to final thoughts. Despite the few minor spelling issues, they're really minor. Like they're just like they're missing a letter, like easily fixed. And so I'd honestly recommend it, and it's mainly because the story gives me the same kind of like vibes that I want and like in video game creepypastas and horror stories that involve involve video games in general. Like the cabinet, like the game is alive or demonically possessed or something like that, and is actually eating kids or eating people.
Mhm.
So like. You die in the game. You die for real. That movie is one of my favorite. Is a guilty pleasure fan favorite for me.
Mm-hmm.
And the movie I'm talking about is Stay Alive. But it's that kind of like vibe that I get from this story as well, and so I really enjoyed that. So that's why I'd recommend it. So, Mikey, what do you got? Do you recommend or not?
I'm going to recommend it. It's after going back and listening to the recording of Whimsywood
And not cringing at our review and voices.
yeah, well, it made me realize how much better this story is than Whimsywood. So, I mean, in this one you have a arcade cabinet that's the good guy.
Insert headcanon.
Yeah, okay, like
To clarify.
I'm sorry, hang on. To clarify, Jason Voorhees killing a bunch of asshole camp counselors does not make Voorhees a good guy. He's still a monster and villain.
Let's jump into interpretation. Yeah.
Like, just saying, like, just because the monster killer is killing like shitty people,
It's still a killer.
Yeah, he's still a monster.
Even though he's hired by the Supernatural Task Force to call the world of jerky kids.
So, yeah, it's an enjoyable read.
Okay.
For me, I'm partially going to parrot what you guys have said, because I, too, enjoyed it. Most video game creepypastas, the fear is entirely in the screen. You just turn the screen off, turn the game off, and you're fine. You're just a normal person again. It's like, oh, that was creepy, but whatever.
Yeah, like they're like
It's equivalent to playing Resident Evil.
Yeah. It's like basically we're watching a Let's Play. It's the issue. It's kind of like the pitfall that some video game creepypasta writers fall into is like they want to make a psychological horror, not so much a visceral horror.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really hard to make a psychological horror or like care about a psychological horror in a video game scenario, because if it's not happening in real, like for reals, it could just be part of the game, and you could just it's more or less. I think in that case, you need to focus more on like the person's mindset than the game itself.
Yeah, it still can be a psychological horror through a game. Like the Five Nights at Freddy's, the new one that came out, the augmented reality one. If they did a creepypasta based on that, where you're playing the game through your phone, but it's even more possessed than what it normally is.
Like Markiplier playing that tablet with the tablet's like, oh, good. Oh, thank God! And he takes the tablet down, and then suddenly, he's like freaking out as he's being attacked for reals.
Yeah,
but like the camera doesn't show him being attacked; he just thinks he's being attacked without the tablet actually being there.
But he could still actually see the stuff because it's
in his head.
Actually like in his head, messing with him.
Maybe some kind of like a weird ocular like basilisk hack thing has happened to the tablet where it's like basically imprinted into his brain.
Yeah,
and so now he's seeing like Fazbear and Foxy and all them like attack him for reals, even when the screen's not there.
Yeah, and it cuts to him in a rubber room.
Yeah,
they're real. They're fucking real.
I'm the king.
Yeah,
that's the Markiplier creepypasta.
Yeah, there you go. Done.
Yeah,
but yeah, it had parallels to Polybius, both in it being a creepy video game and our headcanon of an alien being in the Polybius cabinet.
I'm not gonna lie. When like it came out and like grabbed Nicholas, I was like, wow, that's kind of like what happened with when we were doing like the kitchen segment of our Polybius episode.
Yeah,
like we kind of came up with a similar, not the same, because this one feels more like a supernatural element, or
ours is more
like an alien in the cabinet, whereas not like a supernatural void inside of it. But like, yeah, we came to like similar concepts. And maybe that's why it's jiving with me a little bit as much, is because like it's bringing me back to like some of the stuff we had thought of. That's the other thing about this. Like again, like I feel like the beginning just needs to be tweaked a little bit to like so it's not like kind of guiding you to think that this is a Polybius story, because it's not really a Polybius story. It's just a Polybius-like story.
Yeah.
Or a Polybius clone story.
It's like centipede.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Because, it's saying that if Skull and Crossbows
Yeah.
can actually be a thing, so can Polybius.
Yeah. Not to be confused with the Marvel creepypasta video game, Skrull and Crossbones. or Crossbows. Because Skrull are an alien race from Marvel. Continue.
And what are crossbows? Please tell me.
I don't know. No, Cuspos.
Cuspos?
Fuck. Yeah, see it? It's like anything video game nerd, but it's like, yeah. Oh god. Can we add it? Can we reference any other like pop culture fucking video game thing now?
Probably.
Game Grumps. There.
Done.
Fired and we missed. There. Done. All right. Sorry, Slimebeast, if you're listening.
Yeah.
Please excuse our bullshit and silliness.
Mm-hmm. But I did enjoy it overall. That's the long and short of it.
Okay.
It did a lot of things right, and the minor grammar-related discrepancies were so minor that they didn't slow me down from enjoying it, so still a full recommendation.
Cool. All right. Well, yeah, full round recommendation to the face. I don't know why you wanted to make that a thing.
I don't know. You make it seem like it's an attack on them.
So yeah, full round recommendation. If you like what you heard, or if you didn't, leave us a comment in the comment section below where this gets posted, whether it be on Podbean, Facebook, YouTube, or Tumblr. You can also get a hold of us on Twitter. Mikey is at the East Ends for Evil. Gamer and Yellow is at the Gamer and Yellow, without that W because he has too long of a name.
It's for the glory of the king. It's fine.
And I'm at Review Cultist. If you'd like to get a hold of us on email, you can contact us at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's ALDENTERIGAMORTIS@gmail.com. Where you can also leave us suggestions for other creepypastas you'd like us to discuss on the show. If you'd like to help support the show, you can go to Patreon. Select the backer tier you'd like to support us at. We have $2 and $5 tier with extra episodes, early access, special content, all that good jazz. And to our patrons that are already helping support the show, thank you guys immensely because you're helping keep those hosting bills at bay, and we very much appreciate that. And to the listeners of our show and the authors of these stories, thank you guys immensely because without you, without your listenership or your authorship, we really wouldn't have much of a show. So thank you all the same. Until next time, I have been your host, Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey. The E stands for evil.
And I'm the Gamer in Yellow.
And this has been Al Dente Rigamortis. Sleep well.